How to grade your sports cards 101. Before submitting your cards to any grading company, you're going to want to grade the card yourself. First thing to look for is centering. Left border is 3.5. Right border is 4 centimeters. So we are off left to right a little bit, and that is going to play a major role in the final grade of this card. The back, measure the width of the top, bottom, left, and right as well. How even are they? Eye appeal. That's a major role as the centering of the card, the borders. And if you don't have borders, well, you got to use the elements on the card. So if there were no borders, you would use elements like the athletics or the nameplate or even the player. And left to right, top to bottom, that's a little bit more advanced grading. Today we're going to cover the basics. So first thing is centering. How well centered is the card? The second most important grading criteria of a card, the corners. In order to measure the corners, you're going to need some kind of magnification. I use a 3x magnifying lamp. Has light. It allows you to zoom in and see if there's any whitening on the corners, which this looks very sharp. Yeah, all 4 corners look great. This card is actually from a Topps Tiffany factory sealed set, so I would expect to see very good sharp corners. You don't want any kind of whitening. Actually, this corner does have a little bit of whitening if you look, a little tiny bit. So automatically this card is already looking to be a mint condition card. Okay. So corners, they can't have any whitening, any feathering, they got to be sharp like a knife, right? They got to be real sharp, and you can see the whitening right there. So corners got to be sharp. And for reference, here's an image of a non-sharp corner. This corner is dull. This Unitas card, very dull, rounded corners, okay? You don't want that. That's not going to be a gem mint card. Now, if you're grading vintage, pre-1960s, yeah, it's okay to have that. But we're talking about modern day cards. You want sharp corners with no whitening, okay? Grading criteria number 3 is surface. You're going to want to look out for any kind of defects in the surface of the card, okay? So you want to take it out of the sleeve, hold in hand. Don't wear gloves, guys. You don't have to wear gloves when grading your cards. It's very unnecessary. And you just take the card and move it around in the light and look for any scratches, dings, dents, imperfections, okay? And aside from that little, I'm not sure what that is. I don't think it's a scratch, but if it is, it definitely doesn't look like it. I have to pull out a more powerful scope to see, but I'm not looking to submit this card. The back as well, you got to look for surface imperfections, and it's harder to tell on the matte cards, the matte finish cards with no glossy coating. You really got to look, and you can even change if you have a magnifying lamp that allows you to change the mode. You can look in like different tone lights, and it helps a little bit. But this card, I would declare this is probably going to be a mint 9 card so far. Lastly, you're going to want to look at the edges. Are the edges fraying? Are they splitting? Is there any whitening going on? These look like they're pretty sharp. There's no disruption in the ink or the surface. Like I said, this is from a Topps Tiffany factory sealed set, so generally they come out of the box pretty gem mint condition. The only thing you have to look for is centering. Let's look at the 1987 Topps Tiffany. So out the gate, this centering looks pretty good. Look at that. We're looking at a dead on 4 centimeter left, dead on 4 centimeter right. Let's check the top. A dead 4 centimeter top. And dang, yeah, this looks perfectly centered on the front. Let's take it out. Perfectly centered top to bottom. Very rare for the 87 set. And this is the Topps Tiffany. You can tell because it has that glossy coating. See that glossy coating? Now, just because you have perfect centering doesn't mean you're going to have a gem mint card. You have to pass the other 3 grading criteria: the surface, the corners, and the edges. The back centering looks very good as well. This is on a card I'm looking to submit. This is just for video reference. If I were to submit this card, I feel confident it could be a gem mint 10 though. I'm looking for any imperfections in the surface. So far, it's looking like a gem mint card. Okay, this is just an example to show you guys what gem mint is and why they sell for so much. Now, if your cards are looking like this with the wrinkles, that's not gem mint, okay? That corner is curled, corners are bent. These are not gem mint examples. And you can see this Unitas has a big crease in it. The surface wear, right? And that's what you would expect with these older vintage 59 Topps football cards. This is vintage football right here. All right. And if you see a Mint 9 example for sale, it's going to go for big money, because look at all these cards, all these examples. They have something wrong with them. There's writing on this one, creases, corner wear. It's just amazing to see the damage done to these cards, especially on someone like Unitas. This card actually looks pretty decent, aside from the surface wear. And that's just from being stuck in a drawer or a box and being moved around and just rubbing against stuff. So if your cards look like this and they're modern, don't submit them. You're not going to want to submit these modern cards. But vintage, I would consider submitting 1 or 2 of these Unitas cards without the creases. But there you have it, guys. The 4 things to look for when grading your cards: centering, corners, edges, and lastly, surface, because surface is the hardest to detect from the naked eye. But centering, corners, and edges, very easily you can see if there's damage or imperfections with those 3 grading criteria. So I would stick to centering first, then corners, edges, and surface last. But let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video.